Welcome, foolish mortals. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Andrew.
Artsmith and wordsmith of the Mithril Campus, where we make homebrew items, monsters, and more for your D&D 5th edition campaigns.
It's Halloween, our favorite time of year. So today, we're going to take the opportunity to get a little spooky up in here.
In case you couldn't tell by now, we at the Mithril Canvas are big fans of the horror genre and all it has to offer.
Everything from the unknowable depths of cosmic horror to the twisted visuals of body horror are right up our alley. And we think D&D could use a little more of that spooky punch.
D&D has its fair share of scary subjects in 5th edition, mostly playing off of fantasy horror tropes, such as necromancers, the undead, and other generally evil-leaning monsters. Curse of Strahd is one of the most famous modules for a myriad of reasons, including its terrifying tone.
But there's not as much available to let the players feel like the monsters themselves, and that's a real shame.
Sure, there's lycanthropy, some creepy critters, and cursed items. Don't get us started on how those need reworking, but in our opinion, there's always more room for horror in your D&D campaigns.
Thankfully, plenty of others in the homebrew space have taken it upon themselves to fix this issue, from Grimhull's Guide from Ghostfire Gaming to Ponyat's Witch Lich series.
D&D could definitely use some more ideas in that vein, and allow for players to turn to the dark side, as it were.
Horror films, in particular, are an endless source of inspiration, with iconic villains with unique abilities and looks to boot. In the spirit of Halloween, we chose two of our favorite horror icons to transform into 5th edition subclasses.
Obviously, there's no shortage of horror movie archetypes to riff off of, but these in particular spoke to us this month.
That's not to say we wouldn't want to revisit this concept down the line, exploring other horror tropes, but for today, let us introduce you to our first creation, the Relentless Killer Barbarian, known as...
When faced with a threat beyond oneself, the cowardly flee without hesitation. When that threat is a barbarian who follows the path of the Stalker, escape becomes impossible. The rage within their sadistic souls is focused, instilling terror upon a chosen victim as they cut them down one by one. As fear overcomes the poor fools and they attempt to retreat, these monsters always find their way to their hapless targets, whether by their ceaseless march or by more otherworldly means. Their rage is so deep that not even their own death can bring an end to their reign of terror.
Ah, a classic from the 80s. With such standouts as Candyman, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, slashers are everlasting, and with the advent of games like Dead by Daylight, people have enjoyed taking on the role of slasher villains to torment their friends as well as strangers online.
Who can say what draws people to murderous psychopaths going to town on unsuspecting victims with a knife or machete? But we're not here to question it. We're here to let you be the murderous psychopath.
Heavily inspired by much of what classic slasher villains are capable of in their respective films, such as their apparent invulnerability and uncanny nose for hiding spots, and the inexplicable ability to catch up to the main characters despite never seeming to walk faster than 3 miles per hour, the Stalker is a barbarian that brings all those elements to life.
We begin at level 3, where your Skulker feature grants you proficiency with the stealth skill, and adds your rage damage bonus to stealth checks. While most barbarians charge screaming into battle, the Stalker waits in the shadows to ambush unsuspecting victims. Just a splash of rogue, as a treat.
And for a trick, you also get Targeted Rage. Whenever you enter your rage, you mark a creature to be your future victim. You can easily track down the marked target, against whom your rage damage bonus is doubled and deals psychic damage instead.
Additionally, your first attack each turn has a chance to frighten the target, as long as they remain marked by you. Once a marked creature has been eliminated, you can choose a new target, moving on to your next victim. I can just hear the sinister string music now.
At 6th level, your cruel intentions come to light. Whenever you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, each nearby creature that witnesses the horrific act has a chance to become frightened of you until the end of your next turn.
Your terror now spreads beyond your original victim, which combos nicely, as the second part of this feature grants advantage on all attacks you make against frightened and bloodied creatures, as well as any who haven't taken a turn in combat yet.
You take advantage of weakness and fear in your enemies, cutting them down without mercy. But with all these frightened creatures, some are going to try to flee, which is where your next feature comes in.
At 10th level, your Uncanny Pursuit allows you to teleport up to 60 feet to a point you can see.
That's right. This barbarian can Misty Step.
And should you have a marked target, you can choose to instead teleport directly to your target at twice the distance. The next attack you make after teleporting is also made at advantage.
Now, you can aura farm with the best of the slow-walking slashers while your victim sprints away, only to appear from the shadows of a closet for an ambush. They'll be dead before they even get a chance to think, How the hell did they get there?
Finally, at 14th level, your slasher movie fully jumps the shark, as you become as undying as your rage. When you are reduced to 0 hit points while you have a marked target, you have advantage on any death saves you make, and regain extra hit points equal to twice your barbarian level should you be returned to life. Just like any good slasher, just when people think you're dead, you pop back up to finish the job.
But your undying nature goes beyond even that. If you fully die while your target escapes, there's a chance you return from the grave in 1d10 days. Your previous mark becomes your target of vengeance, and you must slay them to restore a bit of your maximum hit points.
So long as there's a final girl, or maybe a final ghoul, you can still return to exact your revenge on any survivors of your wrath. Did somebody say franchise potential?
Overall, the goal of this subclass was to replicate the tropes present in slasher icons, and we think it has a bit of everything people love these characters for. As for playing such a sadistic PC, you'll definitely make a fun, stealthy muscle for a gang of villains.
Or if you're looking to join a good aligned party, you could even take some more inspiration from Jason himself and play into his backstory as a victim of neglectful camp counselors. Maybe your Stalker Barbarian is also a victim of some tragic event, and while their methods are terrifying, their motivation is somewhat relatable and virtuous, making them an uncomfortable but acceptable presence to their team.
Regardless, the Path of the Stalker is a stealthy and unsettling addition to any table looking to bring some terror and pain to their horror adventures.
And speaking of pain, next up we have a cleric who revels in inflicting suffering with religious fervor. The
All their lives, mortals seek to escape from pain. Fearing its exquisite sting, they turn from the truth in favor of wretched relief. Their sin lies in their denial, a betrayal of what is possible through anguish. To convey this twisted marriage of pain and pleasure, clerics of the Pain Domain wield their foul magic as both weapon and blessing unto the non-believers. Pain is eternal, it shall not be wasted upon those undeserving of its beauty.
While not quite as general as the slasher, though Pinhead and his kind may fit that category, we love the Cenobites from the Hellraiser series. They are truly in a category all their own, each with an iconic, disgusting look to match.
In the world of horror movie icons, which grows with each passing year, Pinhead has truly stood the test of time, and his legacy continues ever onward, with his zealous obsession with spreading the religion of pain.
We have such sights to show you.
And to concentrate the core essence of the Cenobites, we felt there was only one class up for the job, the Cleric. One built with a fanaticism for pain and suffering. Hey wait, that sounds familiar.
So to start us off at level 1, having devoted yourself to the Way of Agony, you are particularly adept at delivering damage. Each long rest, you can make an additional weapon attack as a bonus action a number of times up to your wisdom modifier.
All the better to dole out some pain with. You also gain proficiency with martial weapons, and while not wearing armor, your AC becomes 10 plus your wisdom and constitution modifiers.
At level 2, you gain your Channel Divinity, which allows you to take command of how damage is dealt in your presence. As a reaction to taking damage, you can use your reaction to reduce the amount of damage you take. You've suffered much worse at your own hands after all.
And if the amount of damage taken is reduced to 0, you gain advantage on all weapon attacks you make until the end of your next turn.
Timing your Channel Divinity alongside your ability to make bonus action weapon attacks can dramatically increase your damage output, especially when you gain the Bedevil feature at level 6, which allows creatures that deal damage to any targets that you are concentrating on with a spell to reroll any 1s on their damage die.
There are no weak hits in your presence. Pain is to be dealt properly under your supervision.
At level 8, you gain Divine Strike, infusing your weapon attacks with an additional 1d8 necrotic damage, which increases to 2d8 at level 14.
2d8 additional necrotic damage on bonus action attacks with advantage and re-rolling ones. At this point, your damage output will be outpacing most other clerics by a fair amount.
Fitting of zealots who spread their religion through violent acts.
Finally, at 17th level, your concentration on cleric spells cannot be broken through taking damage. And just around half of the spells on your expanded spell list are concentration spells focused on increasing the amount of damage being dealt across the battlefield.
With spells like Bane and Hold Monster at your fingertips, you can curb the damage being dealt to you and your allies while maximizing your own, especially alongside all of your other features, amplifying your might.
When you step on the battlefield, your enemies will be begging for mercy as you tear your way through their ranks. After all, you have such sights to show them.
While the Cenobites are a more specific inspiration, they certainly fit in D&D's world. Playing as a servant of Loviatar would be a perfect fit in the Forgotten Realm setting. You even meet one of her servants in Baldur's Gate 3, who says some pretty Pinhead-like lines.
Pain without purpose is a terrible thing. Wouldn't you agree?
So there's plenty of precedent for a Pain Cleric in the game. We may as well count this as another subclass that should exist. As far as how to justify playing one in a non-evil campaign, there's always that one friend in any group who's way too eager to share what they're into.
Once when I was 7 years old, I sat on a banana, and of course, that changed my life.
And maybe your party can ignore some of the more zealous outbursts to get in on that sweet, sweet damage boost. Who knows? Maybe one day they'll join you in your fiendish revelry.
That covers our contributions for Halloween this year. What do you think of the Path of the Stalker and the Pain Domain?
We love taking some time to translate horror movie icons into subclasses, and we think they turned out pretty darn scary, both in terms of flavor and function.
And if you decide to rock one of these in your games, we hope it serves you well, and we'd love to hear about it. We're sure they'll be devilishly delightful to throw at whatever your DM has in store, or to use as an inspiration for NPCs to terrify your players with.
And if you're looking for more inspiration for your Halloween D&D characters, we designed some unique items to complete your costume. Gain power from the woods that were once your grave with the hatchet of the buried, or wield the shifting forms of pain found in the Hedron Maledictum.
You can find high-quality PDFs for these subclasses, as well as printable cards for the items on our Patreon. And you can check them all out on Instagram, alongside all our other regularly posted homebrew content.
Shout out to all of our supporters on Patreon, without whom none of this would be possible. If you'd like to support us there, you can get access to years of fully illustrated homebrew creations, as well as vote on our monthly curated curios.
That wraps it up for us today, but we'd like to know what horror tropes you'd like to see brought to life in D&D, even if it's not as subclasses. There's things from outer space, ghost girls coming from television sets, and clowns?
There are just too many to explore at once, so we'll likely have to revisit this territory next year.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again next time.